From this story, we're joined by Shweta Narayan, a global climate campaigner. She joins us from Cochin, India. Hi there, Shweta. It's good to see you this afternoon, I guess it is, where you are right now. So Guatemala's food and beverage system, as far as I understand, accounts for about 5% of the country's GDP. And reports are some 2.5 million people there face potential food insecurity because of the drought this year. This is a serious issue.
Indeed, and thank you very much for this report and this question. And I would basically say not just Guatemala, but all low and middle income countries are facing this crisis. And this is not a food market issue alone. This is a social and public health issue, as you saw in the report. You rightly stated, many of these farmers are not producing food for big profits. They're growing food to feed their families, sell in the local markets, and keep their household going. So what we are consistently and systematically seeing that every time when the crop fails, it's not just loss of income, it's loss of food, nutrition, dignity, and security. So there is less food available, obviously, because of the local production drying up. The food prices are growing up, and poor families and vulnerable communities are hit first because they're already spending a large share of their income on food. So what we will start seeing is families eating fewer meals, buying cheaper and less nutritious food, delaying healthcare, which is, again, because of their vulnerability, is one of the prime concerns in the community. And in a lot of communities, we are seeing people pulling children out of schools or migrating to unsafer conditions or falling deeper in debt. So for me, I mean, in my opinion, this is not just a drought and only a weather story. This is a much more deeper in vulnerable communities and countries. It's a nutritional crisis and a public health crisis.
You know, Shweta, India, where you're from, is no stranger to harsh weather systems. I'm sure you are, just like I am, super concerned about this Godzilla Super El Nino that the UN is projecting that will happen this year and will be particularly bad during the last 3 or 4 months of the year. Can you help us understand how maybe a country like India has to deal with rebounding from drastic devastation, whether it's drought or flooding, that affects all of the country's crops, and in particular, since the US has scaled back, rather, a lot of its climate funding internationally, how does a country recover in 2026?
I mean, absolutely. It's a matter of serious concern. And as I said, we are looking at not just an economic problem, we are looking at a public health emergency and a crisis. We are seeing a systematic collapse in our food system, in our income, in our water, and in our health outcomes. All of them are coming under pressure at the same time. And this is a crisis. I think what really needs to be done in this situation is and especially from a farmers and food security point of view, we need urgent investment in protecting farmers before they fall into crisis, not just only helping them after the disaster strikes. And that means we have to have a strong social protection system. Cash and food support, crop insurance, debt relief, fair prices, and most importantly, from a public health point of view, a guaranteed access to healthcare. Because every time harvest fails, it should not push families into hunger and debt crisis, into migration. It should not force families to pull their children out of school. We think, and it's absolutely important, social protection is climate action, it's climate resilience. So if countries, low and middle income countries, vulnerable countries that have least contributed to this climate crisis that we are seeing, if they need in order to survive, they need to invest in climate resilience, in climate action through social protection. I think there are a couple of other things that is absolutely essential just from a farming system perspective. We really need agroecological and chemical-free farming. We need to restore our soil health, restore our water, retain our water, reduce the cost, and make farming more resilient. Healthy soil is absolutely essential. We need reliable water systems. We need early warning systems, stronger local markets. And for all of that, we need finance climate finance that will help the most vulnerable countries that have least contributed to the crisis to deal with this crisis. And before I end, I think it's also important to remember, and I was looking at the report that's been presented, we need to build long-term resilience. That means addressing root causes of the climate crisis. That is fossil fuels. We need to rapidly phase out, move away from fossil fuels, stop new fossil fuel expansion, and invest in clean energy, healthy food system, and protection of communities that are most at risk. If we cannot solve this crisis that we are facing by just responding to the crisis, we need to address the root causes of this climate crisis that is leading to hunger, this is leading to drought, this is leading to disease. In order to prevent that, we need to phase away from fossil fuels.
Oh, Shweta, you sound really concerned, and rightly so. We will reach out to you later on just to keep tabs on how India is doing this year. Thanks so much for your time.